next half an hour or so, we'll be up here, 27 metres above our starting point on the Forth and Clyde Canal. We're now moving at 4 miles an hour over the reinforced concrete aqueduct. There's just over 100 metres between here and the tunnel, dead ahead of us. We'll go right through that and turn around before heading back and taking a look at the view that's right behind you now. You might have noticed that there are 2 tourist boats in service at the Falkirk Wheel, each with slightly strange names. Archimedes and Antonine. Did you see which one you are on today when you got on? Those special names were chosen for a reason. They're both important parts of the wheel's identity. First, Archimedes. He was a scholar and mathematician in ancient Greece who discovered something that's very important for the operation of the wheel.
Any floating object displaces its own weight of fluid.
Okay, that might need a bit of explanation. Archimedes' Principle says that when an object is placed in water, for example the boat you are sitting in now, it displaces its exact own weight in water. The amount of water that moves out of the way to make room for us is equal in weight to the boat itself. That might sound quite simple, but it's actually really important for the smooth operation of the Falkirk Wheel. Each gondola, that's the big tub of water we just travelled up in, holds 250 tons of water. When our boat sailed in, we pushed about 60 tons of water. That is the weight of the boat and its fuel and all the people in it, out meaning that the gondola then had 190 tons of water and 60 tons of boat in it. So the contents of the gondola still weigh 250 tons. The clever part is that the other gondola will also weigh exactly 250 tons as well. We are evenly balanced with them, and that means that it only takes a tiny bit of energy to get us moving around the central core of the wheel. We're balancing each other out. So while you might think it would take a lot of energy to lift 250 tons of steel, water, boat and even you up the 27 metres we just came, it actually took just a small push. About the same amount of energy as boiling 8 electric kettles. That's enough for a cup of tea, each for everyone on the boat. We haven't got time for a cuppa now, but you can get one down at the visitor centre afterwards while you watch the wheel going round again. Another really clever part of the wheel are the cogs. You can't see them as they're inside the workings, but these huge jagged wheels and sensors stop us from tipping over as we move up and down around the wheel. When the designers were putting the plans for the Falkirk Wheel together, they were confident it would work on paper, but they weren't exactly sure. This is the first rotating boat lift in the world after all. So to test their theory out, they built a small-scale model out of Lego to see how it went. Fortunately, the principle worked and the design was commissioned. As we get close to the tunnel ahead, you'll note that we're in a rather charming landscape. At some times of the year, the pool to your left is home to herons. The canal system stretching across Scotland is home to over 30 varieties of aquatic plants, 15 species of mollusk, over 30 types of water flea, and even freshwater sponges. Plus the ducks and swans. It's been known for fish to swim into the gondola at the bottom and travel up to the Union Canal with us. Of course, they displace their own weight too. And there are footpaths here as well, leading up into the woods. You can walk along these later if you like. On the right side of the boat, as we enter the tunnel, you'll see a sign reading Rough Castle Tunnel. What castle? You cannot see a castle near here. That's because we're about to travel underneath it, Well, almost. There's a Roman castle fort on the hill really quite close by. It was placed there around the year 143 AD as part of a network of military bases built by the Romans to defend the area. These forts were linked by a wall, running right the way across the width of Scotland. For a lot of its distance, this system of forts and walls follows the rough route of the Forth and Clyde Canal, linking the east and west sides of the country. Only the canals were designed to make transport and communication across the country easier. The castle forts were built by the military to control people and keep them out of the northern border of what was then the Roman Empire. Now, you'll almost certainly be aware of another Roman emperor, best known for his wall in northern England. The wall above you now wasn't built by Hadrian, though. It was constructed during the reign of Emperor Antoninus Pius. It's known as the Antonine Wall, and that's the name of our other boat, Antonine. Skip forward 1600 years, and this landscape, instead of being a conflict zone, was one of rapid industrial expansion. The Forth and Clyde Canal, that's the one behind us at the bottom of the lift, was started in the 1770s and followed the route originally surveyed by John Smeaton. It opened in 1790 and quickly became one of the most important trading and transport links across Scotland. It was the world's first sea-to-sea ship canal, joining the River Clyde and Glasgow in the west to the River Forth and the North Sea in the east. And the addition of the Union Canal, that's the one we're sailing on now, in 1822 meant Glasgow and Edinburgh were linked by waterways. This all meant that unprecedented amounts of trade were now possible, not only between Glasgow and Edinburgh, but also with the rest of Northern Europe and the world. In the 1830s, 200,000 people each year travelled between the two cities. One operator offered
the express service in just 7 hours on swift passenger boats.
There was, apparently, a scythe projecting from the front of the boat that would cut through the tow ropes of any slow-moving vessels that refused to give way. Getting between the two canals still required the use of a lock system, though. A few kilometres to the east of here, there was a flight of 11 canal locks with a fall of just over 3 metres each. Each had to fill with water in turn to raise traffic up to the Union Canal so it could travel on to Edinburgh. For a time, this was the golden age of the canal, and waterways were almost the motorways of the day. But with the rise of the railways, the decline of the canals was almost inevitable. The closing of Grangemouth docks to the east of here as a security measure during the First World War